r/AskReddit. Hotel housekeepers, what is the nastiest thing you've seen when cleaning a room? I was a housekeeping leader for 3 years, and the nastiest shit I've seen was probably cum rags, which I don't mind, because it's understandable, bloody sheets, which I don't mind, because it's understandable, sex toys, which I don't mind, if it's taken with them, but motherfucker shit in the room for me to collect and turn into security is lost and found, ass-blasted toilets, and a bloody coffee pot. The coffee pot was bloody because an angry wife hit her husband in the head with it and an ambulance had to be called. Honestly, the gross stories aren't what you find in the room when you're cleaning, but the people that make you do shit while they're still in there. I had a couple instances of naked people in the room while I cleaned, and only 1/3 of them were hot. I also had a guy taking a shit while I was cleaning the rest of the room, but he wanted me to clean the restroom as soon as he got out. He didn't leave the room, so he was sitting there waiting, while I cleaned a shit-smelling bathroom. I worked in college as a housekeeper for a few months. In my first week I walked into a room to do a day cleaning, not a checkout, and found the bathtub about 2/3 filled with vomit. When I asked them WTF happened, in more polite words, they, completely unabashed, said that the night before they'd been drunk and one or other had bet them they couldn't fill the bathtub with vomit. I still gag a little thinking of it. Was a cleaner but did some Airbnbs in downtown Vancouver, not actual hotels. This one old heritage house seemed to be a magnet for the worst people. Like 8 Irish girls were crammed in the house and they really liked to drink. There was about an inch deep of vomit around the toilet and our boss gave someone a $20 bonus to clean it up. They were also just generally filthy. A lady with a tiny dog had let it poop all over the house. It was a cute heritage house we're talking about here with nice hardwood floors, and she just let this thing go to town everywhere. She was staying there for multiple days too, so I guess she was fine hanging out in a house full of dog crap. A guy got so drunk he shat the bed. He was so embarrassed that he paid for the removal of the whole mattress himself, so we luckily didn't have to deal with the aftermath of that incident. Those stories aren't that bad compared to others here, but this place was pretty expensive, so probably removed the kind of degeneracy you'd find at cheaper hotels/motels. Worked night audit at an extended stay. We had a guest who would stay for a week every month and would request the same room every time. Not out of the ordinary for regulars, and since he was a platinum member we always tried to meet his requests. There was one week though when someone who was in that room decided to stay longer than originally planned and it crossed over into our regulars' reservation. We couldn't just ask them to move rooms. Well, our regular got pretty flustered, but chilled once he realized there was nothing we could do. When the other guest left, there was a deep clean scheduled for the next day in that room. The box spring was lifted up and housekeeping discovered why our regular liked this room so much. He kept his porn movies and blow-up doll under there. Of course housekeeping had to discard everything. The next month when the regular came back, he left the very next morning as opposed to staying his usual week. He never came back. I guess he was embarrassed? Not housekeeping, but I worked at the front desk. We had a large block of rooms for a wedding party. Not sure where the families were from, but I believe they were Indian or Malaysian or something. Somewhere from that part of the world, at least. I know I sound super ignorant. They kept calling down and ordering extra towels constantly. We had no idea why. We quickly started running low on clean towels and were forced to tell them that we had to wait to clean more/didn't have more at the moment. Eventually, housekeeping informed us that they had gotten some of the used towels back. These people were wiping their farkin' asses with towels instead of toilet paper. All of them. WTFFFFF. I have stories. 1. Someone had used a portable bidet and instead of using it above the toilet they used the trash can and left the nasty water in the trash can. 2. So many used condoms just on the floor. 3. I had one room that was so dirty I couldn't get in there. I had to grab my head housekeeper to help me. They had managed to put a whole air mattress behind the door so it was impossible to open all the way. All of their towels were soaking wet sitting inside the tub. They had so much luggage I had to crawl over the beds, which I was not allowed to do, just to make their beds. They also dirtied every single dining ware and had left them in the sink covered in grease. My head housekeeper got her own cart just to do that one room while she let me continue on for the day. 4. An old couple insisted that I had gotten my hair on their pillowcase and wanted the sheets changed again. My manager went in before me to prove my innocence as the hair they found was blonde and I have dark brown hair. 5. We also had someone who lived at the hotel and had such a high list of demands I had to be specially trained to clean his room. On the plus side I got some decent tips. And since we were so close to an airport, I had a lot of stewardesses leave food from their country of origin. I got to try a bunch of candy from Japan and Italy. Maintenance at a hotel here. Room full of heroin junkies. Called the police and got them arrested. Drugs all over. Needles. Spoons. Hockey players shit in the drip tray of ice machine in the hallways. We don't put plungers in every room, that's gross and tacky. Had a family of 3 larger sized people stay for 3 days. They check out and told another maintenance guy the toilet was plugged, so we went to take care of it. The toilet was full to the rim and overflowing with shit and piss. Called Roto-Rooter and tipped them handsomely. It looked like it was plugged their first day. People having sex behind the hotel right under the camera. Clearly high on drugs. I asked them what room they were in and they told me a room number that we don't have. The male says please don't tell anyone inside, my GF is in there. The girl said my boyfriend is inside. They leave and I watch them. They jump over the railing near a creek and start doing it again. I called the police. Guy was smoking cigarettes in his room. I knocked on his door to kick him out and he opened the door with his pants hanging around his ankles and his dangling baguette in clear view. He was old and gross. Had like 150 beer cans all over. Called the police to kick him out. He was clearly drunk and he had no license, but the cops didn't know that. The cop walked him to his truck. No idea what happened after that. Edit. Wow, can't believe I forgot about this one. Maybe it's because I wanted to forget it. Helped save a girl from human trafficking. Had a group of old dudes rent out about half a floor. Same guys paid for 2 call girls and decided to get trashed. There was trash, broken items / furniture, questionable fluids, body marks on the mirrors, and lots of condoms. In fact, we were still finding condoms in the rooms a week later that had gotten stuck in some weird places. Another one where the people ran out of toilet paper and instead of calling down to the front desk, used the towels to wipe themselves. Ada, there was also one I didn't see myself. The whole thing was weird. A lady checked into a room with a guy, and the guy left not long after. One of the other maids on the floor said the lady came and asked for more towels. The chain of events is fuzzy, but I do remember the maid saying that there was a lot of blood. Maybe in the tub, and I think on the bed, but definitely all over the towels. No visible wounds on the guest who said she didn't need medical help, and I had seen the guy come and go and he had seemed fine. So, big mystery there, but I'd say lots of blood would be on my ick list and I'm glad I didn't have to clean that room. Pretty sure we couldn't use that room for days after she left. I was a night auditor for a hotel for 4 years. Not something I personally saw, but we had a black box of index cards to memorize if we were new. Names, Idaho information, and details regarding why they were no longer allowed to stay in the hotel. So it was something I read. Housekeepers found 7 large dildos and more than 12 or something piles of excrement all over the room. The guest had apparently filmed a porn in there with several women and left the room absolutely wrecked. The only 2 bad ones I knew about while I was there was a really bad bug infestation. They stripped that room and every room 2 closest to them down to nothing, and refurnished them, carpet, everything. It wasn't bed bugs or fleas. Some department came to investigate. We had a lot of foreign guests and it was believed to be a foreign bug infestation. The other was a very big man and his mother that stayed in the room for several weeks. That room was also stripped down to nothing and completely refurnished. Bed was broken, the room was filthy. Pure filth from what everyone said. They had refused housekeeping while there because it was a big task getting the man out of bed, and housekeepers were strictly forbidden to be in the room with guests while cleaning for safety reasons. I think they eventually started taking trash out of the room on occasion, but not nearly enough. They said the smell was unbelievable. So, obligatory I wasn't the housekeeper, but I was staying at Hyatt Regency in Dallas. It's at an airport, and I was there for an event. Well, I had nothing to do but my friend did, and he was the only other person staying in the room with me. She didn't even knock. She just opened the door. Me knowing how to defend myself, I was just, "Hey, what's up?" and she was just, so I kept the biggest fucking eye on her. I had to know sure she didn't steal anything, and yeah. Fun. She also had to remake the beds, which I thought was hilarious since I totally fucked up that entire bed. She eventually left, but I don't have too fond memories of Regency, so yeah. For another interesting story. One time I went to the bathroom and saw that same friend's phone. Opened it. Saw a porn website. Freaked out. And yeah. We don't talk about the conversation that followed. Let's just say a mini manhunt happened. My favorite story is about how we almost got kicked out. This one crazy kid broke the door trying to get into our room. Why? Because they weren't letting her in. My friend was having some other lads in the room while I was out at my event. The next year, which was this last one, the rules changed and we did things a little different. Sorry anyone who works there. Although I'm pretty sure we fixed it anyway.
I'd love it if you liked and subscribed.